A wolf strong enough to wipe out all of existence. Now that doesn't sound too broken or overpowered. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. I hope the day finds you well. Guys, I have some pretty exciting mail here. This was sent to me by a magic artist. We're gonna open live stream tonight. I'm super stoked. I might actually release a video showing what's in here as well. So if that's something you're interested in, let me know in the comments below. I actually originally was gonna show it at the end of the video, but I'm super excited about it, so whatever. Now, we are here today to talk about a brand new Kaldheim spoiler, all right? And this one is a juicy wolf who goes by the name of Sarulf. So let's get him up on the screen. We'll talk about him, and then I want to talk about a couple cards from Magic's history that actually tie into a similar concept as him, because he's a very interesting card that diverges from what they've done in the past. So this is Sarulf, Realm Eater. Realm Eater's a cool name. 1 green, 1 black, and 1 for a 3/3 legendary wolf. This guy's really crazy. So, whenever a permanent an opponent controls is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on Sarulf Realm Eater. Ooh, you know what? I'm still used to thinking about cards in a one-on-one, more like standard environment, and I tend not to think too much about Commander because I haven't played that much Commander. But the fact that it would be opponents, all of your opponents and all their permanents, it'd be pretty easy to get this Sarulf up to a gigantic beastie. So, he grows off of every permanent that your opponents lose. But where it gets really crazy, because we've seen cards like that, where it gets really crazy is his other ability. At the beginning of your upkeep, if Sarulf has 1 or more +1/+1 counters on it, you may remove all of them. If you do, exile each other non-land permanent, oh my god, he doesn't get exiled? Are you kidding me? Oh my god! Dude. When I read this card, my brain included him in being exiled. In fact, I ran into a buddy of mine after I saw this card. Like, basically, I had a dental appointment and everything, which is why this video is coming out later than usual. But on my way home from the dentist, I ran into my buddy and I explained this card to him. And I said, he gets exiled as well. Sarulf doesn't get exiled. How is this just a rare? Oh my god. Anyways, let me back up and start that sentence again, because I'm getting carried away by it doesn't exile. What? Okay. At the beginning of your upkeep, if he has 1 or more +1/+1 counters on him, you can remove all of those counters. If you do, exile each other non-land permanent with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of counters removed this way. This is nuts! When I saw him, I legit thought one of the balancing factors was that he would remove himself. So if you only had 2 counters on him, you could remove those 2 counters, exile everything that costs 2 or less, and he would stick around. So it'd be like, okay, well, you've got to decide the trade-off. There's no trade-off. This is insane. This is busted. This is just a rare. Magic cards are getting crazier and crazier. So Sarulf is based on Fenrir, right? Fenrir is supposed to be this giant, almost like celestial god wolf. He's not necessarily a god. I didn't really dig in too deeply to the mythology, so I might be slightly misspeaking, but he's on like the level of gods and can like just chew off their hands and stuff, but maybe he doesn't count as a god himself. Not 100%, but either way, a very powerful force that keeps growing and growing and growing, right? And then you can just board wipe, and it's an exile. That's like, just like gods, a bunch of the gods in this game are indestructible. He can exile those. I can't get over the fact that it's each other card. The fact that you get to keep him is insane. Although I suppose the fact that he is a creature makes him slightly less reliable board wipe as well. Like the other board wipe cards that we're going to look at that kind of tie into similar concepts are, I guess, a little more difficult to disrupt, right? But Sarulf is just easy to disrupt. Taking out a creature is not very difficult. Getting rid of him before he gets too big, though, is going to be the key. The fact that this grows off your opponent's permanence going is nutty. And we're looking at I love, by the way, if I haven't mentioned it yet, I love Kaldheim's showcase frames, okay? Throne of Eldraine knocked it out of the park with the showcase frames. And admittedly, a lot of the other showcase that they did since then really didn't do anything for me. The Landfall showcase didn't really care about it. The Theros Constellation thing was okay-ish, but this feels very similar, actually, to the Throne of Eldraine one. We've got, like, the crazy pillars on the side. The Throne of Eldraine had different colored vines, but this literally has, like, pillars with runes inscribed on them. The artwork kind of circles up like that, and on either side of the top, you have dragons. It looks so cool, with the top little, like, bump as well for the legendary stylization. Dude, I really, really dig this as a showcase, and the artwork is awesome. Look at the size of these soldiers, right? This is a normal person. Look at the size of Sarulf, this giant wolf who's just coming out to destroy everything. Realm Eater. He literally consumes everything that walks the lands. Everything that exists is drawn into him, and he sticks around. Oh my god, this card is so crazy. This card is so good. This is broken OP craziness right here. I'm saying it. I'm saying it. Unless they make more crazy nonsense, this feels intensely strong for a regular rare. I wouldn't be surprised if this was a top level rare in the set. The fact that you're getting a 3/3 body that can grow all by itself for 3 mana isn't too shabby. People would play this just as a 3/3 that whenever a permanent opponent control goes, it gets a +1/+1 counter. You could do that and put something more basic on him, trample, whatever you wanted. You wouldn't even have to, actually, and he'd still be playable. But having the ability to eat the realm and wipe everything out is not only flavorful, it's incredibly powerful. Now, there's a couple cards I thought of when I saw Sarulf. To me, he's a combination of Plague Boiler and Pernicious Deed, kind of, right? So, let's take a look at Plague Boiler first, all right? These are all green-black aligned board wipe cards. So Plague Boiler is 3 to put out. It's an artifact that says at the beginning of your upkeep, put a plague counter on Plague Boiler. So the same kind of, you have to build up, because that's what you have to do with Sarulf, right? You have to build up with counters. Now, the interesting thing is the Plague Boiler is going to continue to like boil up plague, which is why every turn you put a counter on it. And when it has 3 or more plague counters on it, you sacrifice it. Once you do that, all non-land permanents get destroyed. But it also has the ability, 1 green, 1 black, and 1, put a plague counter on Plague Boiler, or remove a plague counter from it, which means you can either speed it up from happening, or you can delay it, otherwise known as giving you the ability to control when it wipes the board. So that's why it feels like Sarulf in terms of, you just like a Plague Boiler, it's going to be very difficult to drop a Plague Boiler and have it wipe the board immediately when you play it. You're going to have to do some maneuvering to get where you want to be. And Sarulf operates in the same fashion. And I've always thought the Plague Boiler was a very comical board wipe. First of all, the Plague Boiler itself is a very, very intense construction. It's got this sort of like crazy metallic base that's swirling around with this giant, almost like mushroom top that is just emanating crazy amounts of plague. It's literally like building up plague inside of it that it just releases out and destroys everything. And in the artwork, you can see people just running for their lives. Oh my God, get out of here, it's gonna blow, right? Like you got somebody who's close to it, but I always found the guy who's a little bit further away, who's like, gotta get out of here, run. Always just funny, man. I don't know, it makes me laugh. It's fun. So the artwork on the card is great. Plague Boiler is a perfectly fine board wipe, and it kind of gives me Sarulf vibes. And the other card that feels like it ties in, the other one that I mentioned, is Pernicious Deed. And that's 1 green, 1 black, and 1 for an enchantment. And this is one that you can set off whenever you want, right? This isn't something that you have to particularly build up to, but it ties into the whole like X or less scenario that Sarulf has, where basically Sarulf will go ahead and exile everything that's casting cost is less than or equal to the number of counters you've removed. And Pernicious Deed operates where you pay X mana, sacrifice Pernicious Deed, destroy each artifact, creature, and enchantment with converted mana cost X or less. So it has that, you choose the level and wipe down. Although, you know, Pernicious Deed is a little more pinpoint in that Sarulf doesn't allow you to choose how many counters you're taking off, which is part of what I think balances him out. your opponent can, if they can maneuver more permanents into their graveyard to grow Sarulf up to a certain point, he might be so big that you might have some more expensive permanents out. You won't want to exile with him, so you won't be as likely to activate his ability, whereas Pernicious Deed is 100% controllable. But on the other side, Pernicious Deed does not actually handle planeswalkers. Sarulf will eat planeswalkers and everything else. Pernicious Deed can't destroy planeswalkers, and the reason for that is actually because when Pernicious Deed was created, planeswalkers weren't actually a card type in Magic the Gathering. At that point, it was still just you and I, the people playing the game, are the planeswalkers. And Pernicious Deed actually shows a major part in the Magic story, where you can see Freyalise as she is setting off this device saying, Yawgmoth, now you will pay for your treachery. And we're dealing with the whole Yawgmoth and Urza storyline right now over on my lore channel, Fantasy Geographic. So if you want to hear about old school Magic lore, which in my opinion is the best Magic lore when things were crazier, not the new Magic lore is the worst or anything, but the old stuff, mwah, beautiful. All right, so as I mentioned before, super stoked. I got a package here full of stuff from a Magic the Gathering artist. Somebody who knows Magic the Gathering art. I'm not going to tell you who until tonight's stream, all right? But if you miss it, don't worry. I might put out a video. Either way, I'm super stoked. So, thanks for coming by. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I'm doing here, like, comment, subscribe. It's all great for the channel. If you love what I'm doing, jump on my Patreon. Linked here at the end of the video, I have my newest lore video, as well as a goofy video from my other channel. Enjoy whichever you choose to do, my friends. I will see you all very soon.